post board with a full playset changes some things.
It looks like we are in game number 1 right now between Davis and Lossett. Blue-white control versus white-blue heroic. Both these players sitting at 10-2, so a big match for both of them. See your hero Herois joining the table here for Joe. Life totals 24-9. You expect Davis to be lower than Lossett, given that Lossett is playing an aggressive archetype. Davis will draw a card here. He'll play a Temple of Enlightenment. Top card's going to become the bottom one. He's moving and grooving. We'll see what Joe's able to put together here. If he can further along this hero, and see if Jim can actually get some footing in this game, as here's an Ordeal of Heliod. That will work here, as will this Defiant Strike.
And the nature of blue-white control now, without Revelation, there's no guarantee it wins a long game. I mean, you have to keep fighting.
I think that you are favored if you make it to this point, but there is no guarantee.
There's no lock. There used to be a lock. And of course, Supreme Verdict in this matchup would be the best card of all time, and Hostility is quite a bit different.
Looks like Lossett is going to go for an Ordeal of Thassa as well. So Hero Herois, well, it was just a 2-2 a turn ago. It's a lot bigger than that now. Red zone. And Jim doesn't look too thrilled about this. I'm not sure the makeup of his hand at this point.
I think that there's multiple copies of Disdainful Stroke.
That's not
which
good.
Is very powerful against most decks in the format. This, of course, a notable exception.
So Jim's going to have to just take it on the chin and hope he doesn't die. Looks like Joe's making a move. You see this, an attack for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 points of damage. Yep, 2 strokes. That's going to do it. Joe Lossett's going to win game number 1 here over Jim Davis. White-blue heroic up a game over blue-white control. Just like that, they're heading to the sideboards, and a matchup that I feel like Jim is supposed to win game 1 a very high percentage of the time.
Well, you know, it's still hard mode compared to the blue-white control decks of last year. So, yes, it is a solid matchup for him game 1. He is a favorite, but it's, you know, we're at turn 10 there. I think 2 years ago in Standard, this kind of matchup would have been a lock. Instead, he's still got to slog through, and he was unable to do it.
Well, it's time to take a look at the sideboards. You've got Jim's in front of you, and we have seen this one before.
3 copies of Glare of Heresy, 2 copies of Erase, a Whelming Wave, 2 Negates, 3 copies of Bermaz, a Last Breath, 2 copies of Omen Speaker, and a Fated Retribution. I really like the 2 copies of Negate. I think it's likely the Erases come in. Glare of Heresy is excellent in this matchup. The addition of Last Breath can blunt some of Joe's early offense. And the 3 copies of Bermaz here, we see Jim go to this card a lot in matchups where he wants a blocker or some way to cushion the gap between the initial stages of the game and getting to end hostilities. Bermaz, even if it doesn't lock Joe out, which it's unlikely to do, it at least requires some resources out of Joe, may cause him to put his shields down, and then cards like End Hostilities and Banishing Light can do a lot of work.
Other set of things here for Lossett. He's got 1 Spectral Ward, which we haven't seen him bring in just yet. I'm hoping he does soon. In the Johnny's presence, a Laguna Van Trailblazer, an Ordeal of Heliod, a Mortal Obstinacy, an Erase, 2 Treasure Cruise, 4 Glare of Heresy, and the big one, 3 copies of Stubborn Denial. 3
copies of Stubborn Denial is the best card Joe brings to the table. Can keep Jim off of his big spells. For Jim to win the game at some point, he has to resolve something big, most notably End Hostilities, so Stubborn Denial is great there. I think some number of Glare of Heresies can come in here for Banishing Lights, Elspeth. You can anticipate Bermaz if you're familiar with Jim's work. I don't think you want the full 4, but I could see bringing in 1 or 2 copies. The 2 copies of Treasure Cruise are excellent here as well. You can anticipate the game going on for a long time. You're likely to get hit with a sweeper at some point, and Treasure Cruise can give Joe the kind of staying power, even if he gets hit with End Hostilities, it's not necessarily the end of the game.
Some very, very nice options here for Joe. Less good ones there for Jim, but we'll see if Jim can bounce back and tie things up here in game number 2. As we will turn our attention to Star City Games Game Night. Used to happen every Wednesday. Now you can do it any week, and coming in January, we got the Mammoth.
Yep, every week we give you a kit with 2 pins and 8 foil tokens to give out. This is the January kit you see in front of you. Stores has the freedom to run the tournaments however they'd like to, sanctioned or unsanctioned, whatever the format. That will get players showing up for fun and friendly game night. StarCityGames.com/game night for more information. It is too late to get signed up for the January kit, and you are running out of time to get signed up for February. So if you're looking to do so, head over to StarCityGames.com/game night now, or contact your Star City Games organized play representative.
If you're looking for a Call of the Herd token, you finally have one.
Yep, it's time.
Lucky you. Maybe a little late to the party. You know, I'm thinking maybe we bring elephants back to Magic. I don't know why that was just an Odyssey thing. I don't really know the flavor of that set, of course, but...
I don't know if they're... I mean, I know there was a world build. They always do a world building thing, but the flavor did not really resonate through the cards.
Well, yeah, that's an earlier time.
Yeah. Well, no, because there's still some earlier sets that have a ton of flavor. I mean, Mirage is stocked with flavor.
This is true.
All over the art and the flavor text and the names, everything. Not even to speak of the earlier sets like Arabian Nights that are obviously drawing from a particular mythos.
Well, so we go back to places quite a bit. We went back to Mirrodin and other places, and there was Time Spiral and stuff where we've dabbled. Let's go back to wherever the heck Odyssey was.
Well, I think because Odyssey is among the least popular blocks of all time, it would be hard to rationalize going back there.
Oh, come on. It's the flashback block.
Yep.
Who doesn't like flashback?
They could go back to Innistrad if they wanted to do that sort of thing. Innistrad was extremely popular.
That's true. Innistrad was very, very well done. I don't know. I liked Odyssey. I liked Elephants and Shadow Mage Infiltrator. And
it's the Cabal against Elephants against what's going on in green? The Crozan?
Dwarves in red.
Dwarves in red, yep.
And not entirely sure what's going on in white, but I'm just saying we could probably go back.
Apothecaries, I think, are going on.
Yeah, there's a lot of clerics, I believe.
Clerics?
Yeah.
The fact that we're struggling
doesn't sound great. Now that I think it doesn't actually sound like a great idea.
What was going on over there?
Yeah, it doesn't sound great. But that's also when I was like 12 or whatever. Here's a favorite hoplite here for Joe. Jim has 2 copies of Negate in his hand. Also a Temple of Enlightenment, Flooded Strand. So options as far as lands are concerned. Banishing Light 2. Dig through time, excuse me, if he makes it to the late game.
Although not even necessarily, because Dig Through Time is surprisingly efficient to cast in Jim's deck.
Now, more of a mid-game card in his deck, honestly.
Yeah.
Jim going to search up the plains.
Part of that is because Jim has put a lot of sack lands in his deck. Beyond Flooded Strand, he has, Polluted Delta. He has his copy of Evolving Wilds. He's making an effort to cast this as soon as he can.
Here's Banishing Light. Going to put Joe to the test right away to see if he does have a copy of God's Willing. Joe going to take a look at his hand. You see Feat of Resistance. And he'll just get the job done with Stubborn Denial. Looks like he drew a copy of God's Willing for the turn. Here is Defiant Strike. That'll, of course, trigger Heroic and let Joe draw a card. And now here's an attack for 3 points of damage. Doesn't look like the set picked up a land for the turn, though. He'll just pass the turn back. Davis will draw a card. Evolving Wild's what he picked up. See if Jim wants to maybe go with another copy of Banishing Light here. It looks like he's going to give it a shot. Well, the set with a Timely God's Willing here will not only grow a favorite hoplite, but it'll get the scry and perhaps find a land for the turn.
Yeah, Banishing Light needs to be in play there, and it is significant because Jim, of course,
Dig Through Time deck.
Dig Through Time, his deck.
2 cards coming.
You get into patterns sometimes, like your first Banishing Light got countered, and the second one is effectively being countered, so you do the same operations, but that distinction is really important here.
There's Flooded Strand. Now Jim just has to pass the turn back. The set will draw. He's worked his way out of his mana issues. Only 1 blue mana available at this point, but favorite hoplite looking to go the distance. 5 damage going to be dealt to Davis. He's down to 7 already.
And this is the spot in the game where, Stubborn Denial out of Joe's deck is so bad for Jim.
And he's already used 1 copy, and it doesn't look like he has a second. You can see his hand, Feat of Resistance, Heliod's Pilgrim, Battlewise Hoplite, Aqueous Form. No Stubborn Denial, it looks like, here for the set. Jim going to sacrifice his Flooded Strand. Now he's going to cast a Dig Through Time. He's down to 6. But he's going to get to look at 7 and take 2 with him. So let's see if he can find some cards that he likes. Glare of Heresy among them.
I mean,
that
Glare
might
of
be
Heresy,
what the doctor ordered.
Glare of Heresy is not shabby here. The problem is that it plays into protection effects. But because Jim is equipped with at least 1 copy of Negate he can cast in response, there's a good shot he can win the fight.
And he's found 2 cards he's happy with. Jason Ingenuity was the draw step. And now we're going to have a fight over this. The set does have Feat of Resistance. So he'll cast that. Here's Negate. Does he have another feat? Oh my. Yes, he does. All you can do is shrug the shoulders, drop the hand on the table, and extend it. Joe Lossett's going to win this match here over Jim Davis. 2-0. White Blue Heroic will take care of Blue White Control again. Davis has lost 3 matches this tournament. 2 to White Blue Heroic. 1 from Lossett and 1 from Steven Man.
And I think that Jim's got sufficient early interaction, but I think that the sideboarded supper denials are just problematic for him.
Yeah.
You can hope that they don't draw it or they only draw 1 or what have you, but the deck is White Blue Heroic as a deck is more resistant, I think, than people get credit for. Because you have Ordeal of Thassa, you can get hit by sweepers and removal and keep going on. So I think the combination of the card drawing backed by Supper Denial means the matchup is not as good for Blue White Control as it would appear on the surface.
Think about Jim's losses this tournament. 1 to Joe Lossett, 1 to Rudy Briska, 1 to Steven Man. Those are his 3 losses so far. I mean, he's definitely lost some quality competition, and we've actually watched all of his losses as well. All the games have been relatively close. Some things haven't really gone his way, I suppose. Mulligan to 5 against Briska in game number 3. But to Steven Man's credit, I don't want to take anything away from him. Steven Man played a beautiful game 3 against Jim.
Yeah.